Hi Charlie, welcome to the 98th video polling analysis where I break down and analyze the LinkedIn poll that I posted last week and that closed this morning. Now last week's poll question was inspired by the statistical reality that a lot of my connections work for Charles Schwab. So out of curiosity, I decided to ask, do you have a Charles Schwab account? There were two answer choices, yes or no. There's no maybe or I'm not sure, because either you have a Charles Schwab account or you don't. And I wanted to ask this question because I was curious to see what percentage of my voters had a Charles Schwab account and what percentage of my voters were likely Charles Schwab employees, because I know that Charles Schwab employees are required to have a Charles Schwab investing account if they decide to invest in the stock market. So 85 people, actually 88 people, voted on this poll, which is slightly above my average of about 80 to 85 votes per poll, and a welcome change from last week's trend where the poll questions often got 60, 70, 80 votes, a bit below my usual average. So this 88 votes is a return to form, and I'm very grateful for it. And of these 88 voters, 43% of them said that yes, they have a Charles Schwab account, while 57% of them said no, they don't have a Charles Schwab account. Now, I'm not going to sit here and claim that this poll is even close to representative of how many members of the general American population have a Charles Schwab account, because many of my connections, as I said earlier, are Charles Schwab employees and are required to have a Charles Schwab investing account if they want to invest. So obviously that statistical reality skews this distribution and makes it very non-representative of, say, the average people that you encounter walking on the street. So anyway, here are some statistics about Charles Schwab now that they've released their first quarter 2025 earnings report. In quarter one of 2025, Charles Schwab earned $5.6 billion in revenue. This was 18% more revenue than in quarter one of 2024 last year. It also reported $1.9 billion in GAAP net income for a 34.1% profit margin. This was a 40% profit margin increase compared to quarter one of 2024. Schwab opened 1.2 million new brokerage accounts in quarter one of 2025, bringing the total up to 37 million brokerage accounts. Daily average Schwab trading volume also grew by 17% during the first quarter. Schwab's quarterly stock dividend was increased by a generous 8%, making it 27 cents per share. Schwab also repurchased $1.5 billion of its common stock, perhaps to increase its earnings per share figure, and which it succeeded in doing so because Schwab's earnings per share, or EPS, increased by 41% year over year to $1.04. But obviously, some of that increase might also be due to the stock price rising because Charles Schwab has been doing relatively well as a company, at least as far as I can tell. Schwab stock rose 0.65% on last Thursday after its earnings were released. Now, this isn't exactly a very dramatic gain, especially considering the overall positive news in their quarter one 2025 earnings report, but the stock market is notoriously fickle, and sometimes what seems like bad news in the market will actually cause some stocks to go up for some reason, and sometimes what seems like good news will cause the stock to either go down or just sort of hover in this middle range without making any dramatic price moves. It has a lot to do with investor sentiment on the particular day, other things that are going on in the economy, but if you want your stock to do well long term, the fundamentals underlying your company do have to be pretty solid. And it seems like Schwab is accomplishing that quite well. All of these statistics that I read off can have, I think, more or less a positive perspective on them. So anyway, Charlie, thank you so much for listening to my little spiel about Charles Schwab. I hope you learned something new about one of the highest quality and longest lasting and most popular discount brokerage firms in the United States, though Charles Schwab is trying to transition to being a full service brokerage that provides financial advisory services to high net worth individuals, but it's still perceived as a discount brokerage. And I wanted to give Charles Schwab a bit of a shout out because it's doing well. Obviously the leadership is doing something right, or perhaps market conditions are favorable as well. That might be a contributing factor, but it does seem like things are going relatively well at Charles Schwab, and I look forward to having a similarly positive result from Schwab in quarter two of 2025 and beyond. And before I go, I would like to show you this poll as it appears on LinkedIn just to prove that I'm not making this distribution up. Here is the poll as it appears on LinkedIn. As you can see, it got 88 votes, which is slightly above my average of 80 to 85 votes per poll. Again, very happy about that, especially considering the middling performance trend we've experienced over the past week. And the more popular answer choice was kind of obviously no. I don't have a Charles Schwab account, which is not unexpected because there are a lot of other brokerage firms out there that offer very similar services, though Charles Schwab's might be somewhat higher quality than the rest. Anyway, Charlie, thank you for listening to my little spiel about Charles Schwab, and stay tuned tomorrow for my 99th video poll analysis. We are so close to making it to 100 days. We just need to push forward a little bit more, and of course, after we reach 100, we are most certainly going to keep going. So thank you, Charlie, for being so supportive throughout this entire journey. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.